Hello, guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Global Lens with Avantika. So, here today we are going to talk about US and Iran's current situation. And we have Dr. Pavan Chaurasia with us, who is an expert in international relations. Hello, Pavanji. Welcome to Global Lens with Avantika, and welcome again.
Hello, Avantika ji, and thank you once again for bringing me here back to your global lens along with your people. Thank you.
So, to start with today's session, I would like you to tell us, our viewers, what exactly has gotten US and Iran to this position that they are almost in a situation where the war hasn't been declared, but they are completely having a lot of crossfire and a lot of things happening around it, in which their supreme leader was also killed last week. So, little bit of the background, what has gotten this situation to what it is today?
Okay, yeah. What we are seeing now has a history to it. Actually, if you want to understand this current crisis, then you need to look at Iran's history. I mean, I'm not going to its medieval history or ancient history. You need to look at its contemporary history.
Hmm.
See, Iran, as we see today, was not uh, like what you are witnessing. Iran used to be, at some point of time, Iran used to be a democracy. Then the US, it was US and the West that actually did a coup in Iran and brought monarchy back to Iran. And so Pahlavi dynasty was given this charge of Iran. So this Pahlavi dynasty, the Reza Shah Pahlavi, who became the king or the leader of Iran. So the monarchy, it actually worked for the progress of Iran. So you see many social indicators rising. You see Iran witnessing progress, and women were given a lot of rights. And Iran used to look like any other Western country. I mean, there were enough freedom. There were women participation at all time high. But Iran happens to be a Muslim country, and it happens to be a Shia country. So this kind of development was not liked by certain sections of society. The first were the religious people, the clergy, and the people who were inclined to Shia version of Islam. They believed that this Pahlavi, this Reza Shah Pahlavi, what he is doing is he is actually westernizing the society, and he is degrading the society by reducing the role of Islam in public life, and by looking for more modernization and westernization. The second were the communists. The communists there had a very strong presence, and they believed, the organizations like Mujahid Khalq, they believed that what Iran, the Shah is doing is he's bringing a capitalist society. So the time was during this Cold War. So, of course, the communists were inspired by the Russian Revolution, and Russia happens to be Iran's neighbor. At the time, there were USSR, so it actually
Hmm.
had its border sharing with USSR. So, the second group was these people. And the third group were ordinary students who were actually suffering from many of its policies. You see, apart from this development policies, there were some issues. For example, Iran, as you know, is a energy rich company. It's a energy rich state, so it has got a lot of oil and gas fields. So
Yeah.
the British companies and the Western companies, they extracted oil, and a very minute portion of that profit was shared with Iran. Rest were siphoned off by these Western companies. So this created a lot of resentment among the people, and all these groups, they came together. And herein lies a leader. There was an Ayatollah Al Khomeini, who was a cleric
Hmm.
leader, but he was exiled to France, and he
Hmm.
lived there for 16 years. So although he was not allowed to come to Iran, and there was a brutal crackdown against the ruling Pahlavi dynasty, ruling Shah, but resentment was rising, and the audio lectures of this Ayatollah Al Khomeini, it
Hmm.
used to be illegally exported in the form of cassettes. Earlier, we used to have something like cassettes. So, and it used to be sold in the markets, and it used to be
Hmm.
illegally imported. So, in a way, the discontent was brewing. Then, in 1979, the discontent rises to a level where Shah of Iran was forced to flee to flee, and the anger was directed towards Shah of Iran as well as its Western supporters, especially the US. So, as you know, that after he fled and he went to USA on the background of that he has to go for a health checkup. So, but he didn't return.
Yeah.
So the Iranians, due to this Iranian revolution, so it formed a theocratic state where the head of the state was a president, but actually the it was the supreme leader, that is Ayatollah Al Khomeini. So it became a theocratic state, and this Vilayat Faqih model was introduced. So according to this, they had this system where although president was a ceremonial, was a powerful leader, but everything rested on Ayatollah Al Khomeini or the supreme leader, who had his own parallel forces. Like you have Iranian army, but then you also have IRGC, Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. So these were the parallel defense structure which reported not to the president of Iran but to the supreme leader. So they were his private army kind of thing, and whose mandate was to protect the ethos of the Islamic revolution. So as you must be listening about the protests that took place against
Yes.
the regime. So most of them
Hmm.
were cracked down not by the Iranian police or Iranian military, but by the IRGC. And
Hmm.
another point of IRGC is that it believes in not just upholding the spirit of revolution, but also
Hmm.
exporting the revolution to other countries. Because
Hmm.
when Iran became the theocratic regime, then
Hmm.
Ayatollah also said that this model of rural ruling, what is existing in the Gulf countries, is
Hmm.
not fit for Islamic country, and it should ideally have this model what Iran follows. So
Hmm.
the Gulf countries, which are mostly Sunni
Hmm.
monarchs, they were all scared. So that is
Hmm.
how this came into this, all this scenario came to exist. Now, before the Islamic Revolution, Iran and Israel had very good relations because both were
Hmm.
American allies. So the discontent was also against Israel because it believed that it is touching the rights of the Palestinians. So
Hmm.
after 1979, Iran and Israel became sworn enemies. So Iran, and from that time, these two countries have been fighting some sort of proxy wars. But
Hmm.
in 2025, the
Yeah.
proxy war became turned into a full-blown war when
Yeah.
Israel actually attacked Iran, and Iran
Hmm.
also retaliated. And
Hmm.
it was believed that Iran has some nuclear weapons. I mean, it has
Hmm.
this has been a theory or whatever that
Yeah.
Iran is enriching its uranium so as to build up a
Hmm.
nuclear grade,
Hmm.
taking to the nuclear in order to build up
Hmm.
a nuclear weapon.
Hmm.
So now, since Iran was accused of preparing a nuclear weapon, so there were sanctions imposed by the West and many other countries. Iran tried to come out with these sanctions to come to end these sanctions. So in 2015, 20, or around 2015, 2016, I mean,
Hmm.
an agreement, this is JCPOA, Joint Comprehensive Plan of
Hmm.
Action.
Hmm.
It was signed by Iran and P5+1. That is
Hmm.
the other, I mean, Germany was also included in that group. So
Hmm.
this way gave Iran's waiver from certain sanctions. In lieu, it had to give up its nuclear enrichment program. So that was the case. Then in
Hmm.
2018,
Hmm.
Donald Trump comes to power in 2016, but he was not happy with the JCPOA,
Hmm.
so he announced that US would be withdrawing from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. So,
Hmm.
which was something that Israel had also desired, and
Hmm.
then situation turns hostile between Israel and Iran, and of course
Hmm.
US. Then in
Hmm.
2025, what we see is that Trump came to power once again, and
Yeah.
he is someone who was staunchly against Iran. He believed that in order to put maximum pressure on Iran, we need to
Hmm.
do something. And in Israel
Hmm.
also, you must remember that in October 2023, after the Hamas attack. So Israel launched a ground offensive against Hamas. So it was
Yes.
widely believed that Hamas was supported by Iran, and because
Hmm.
there is a very popular notion of axis of resistance. So Iran
Hmm.
doesn't function only through its foreign policy or through its military doctrine, but it also has some proxies in the region that
Yeah.
further Iranian cause. So the three
Yeah.
proxies, that is Hezbollah in the
Yeah.
Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
Houthi in the Red
Houthis.
Sea
Yeah.
area. Yeah, in the Red Sea area,
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
Iranian proxies. Then Iran has been
Yeah.
funding them, And
mm,
another point is that apart from the Iranian state, which happened to be a Shia country,
mm, mm,
another country which was staunchly supporting Iran and which was supported by Iran was Syria under President
mm,
Bashar al-Assad.
mm.
So, but you have seen in December 24,
Yeah,
the regime of Bashar al-Assad falls
was.
down. Yeah, it
Yeah,
falls, and the regime was taken over by former terrorists who now dons a three-piece suit. Ahmad
yeah,
al-Shara, who was earlier known
yeah,
as Ahmad al-Julani. So
yes.
the regime, it was believed that was
Mm,
supported or it came to the power
mm,
by the help of
mm,
Turkish, Israeli, and U.S.
mm,
U.S. Deep state.
mm,
So that's how Iran lost its ally. So overall, Iran was considered to be friendless in the region,
mm,
and then in 2025, Iran was bombed. Then it was
mm,
believed that Iran's nuclear weapons have been completely decimated. In fact, it was the president of US himself who said that we have
mm,
successfully decimated Iranians
mm,
nuclear weapons or whatever they were.
mm,
Now, long story short,
mm.
so um it was believed that again certain things would happen, because we have seen in the starting month of January, there were massive protests in Iran, because
Yes.
Iran has been under sanctions for several decades and its
Mm,
economy has been keeping. And of course,
mm,
there is a internal problem also, because people
mm,
there are not satisfied there with the regime.
mm,
They want more freedom, they want more rights, they want
mm,
to be like any other state, but they are under a lot of sanctions, and so their economy was falling down. And in fact, you must be surprised to know that their currency, Iranian real, had fallen to as low as $1 became equivalent to 14 million reals.
yeah.
And their currency used to fall twice a day, and it used to fall like anything. So all
Mm,
these led to massive protests. Now, what happens is that when there were a lot of protests, so Iranian regime
mm,
cracked them, the protests
mm,
down totally. Then it gave an opportunity to the US,
mm,
who said
mm,
President Trump said that help is on this way, and the
mm,
people of Iran, the protesters Iran, should take
mm,
over the state. So that is
mm,
how things spiraled up. Then of course the Iranian regime was able to crush the revolt, and there are many people who have died. I mean,
yeah.
numbers are not verified, but something between 12,000 to 40,000. I mean, we
Mm,
don't have the actual data. But
mm,
then President Trump had already brought in his weapons, like US
mm,
Gerald R. Ford, his aircraft carrier, Gerald R. Ford,
mm,
and
mm,
another aircraft carrier, US Abraham Lincoln. They were put to
mm,
place like in the Mediterranean and the Arabian Sea, in order to, like,
mm,
have some kind of offensive. Then
mm,
we see on February 28th, if I'm not wrong, we see a joint Operation Fury launched by US and Israel. So several missiles were fired upon, and
mm,
which led to the Iranian supreme leader being killed in missiles.
yeah.
However, Iran has also retaliated by
Mm,
targeting, because while there were negotiations going on,
mm,
Iranians had made it clear that this time every
mm,
target would be a legitimate target, because they will not spare American allies too this time. So they have fired
mm,
missiles in almost 9 to 12 countries,
yeah.
including military bases in Gulf countries
That
and in Israel
country.
also.
Yes. So basically, after their supreme leader's death, when he was killed on 28th February, now Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is not there anymore. So, two questions here. How do you see the people of Iran reacting to this? Because what I can understand that there are again two sects to it. And then how that particular termination of their supreme leader is impacting US going ahead.
See, I have also written in my articles multiple times that Khamenei was a very polarizing figure. So you will find many people supporting him wholeheartedly, but you will also find many people hating him like anything. And in
Mm,
fact, his hatred was most visible among the women, because you
mm,
have seen in 2022 there a girl known as by the name Mahasa Amini. She was killed by the
mm,
moral police of Iran,
mm,
because of not wearing this. hijab
Hijab.
in the right manner. So
Hmm.
that's why women believe that this old man was responsible for taking away their
Hmm.
freedom. And I've been to Iran, like I
Hmm.
was there in December last year, so I've seen
Hmm.
Tehran, I've seen Tehrani society.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you will find a lot of modernity there. I mean,
Hmm.
but I was interested to see that many
Hmm.
women were without hijab.
Hmm.
So people told us that because of the 2022 protests, so
Hmm.
Iranian regime has become somewhat,
Hmm.
say, loose
Hmm.
in putting up this law of
Hmm.
compulsory hijab. But yes, of course, it's a big problem. You know, if any women would go,
Hmm.
like we had our former Indian ambassador going there, so she also had to cover her her head. So I
Yes.
mean, these were
Hmm.
some of the issues
Hmm.
that were there. But this is also a fact that that Iran being a Islamic society and where religion plays a very predominant role in the life of the ordinary people. So he was also religious and a spiritual leader. So he in that capacity he gained a lot, lot of confidence and a lot of respect among the
Hmm.
people. Now,
Hmm.
what I see, I mean, this is my own perspective, that this killing of Ayatollah al Khamenei in the month of Ramzan, which is considered to be a very sacred month for the Muslims,
Yes.
I think Israel and US may have misjudged this, that they would have thought that if they kill Supreme Leader, there would be anarchy and chaos, and the
Hmm.
anti regime forces would take over the
Hmm.
state, as had been claimed multiple times.
Hmm.
But I believe that this move actually backfired. You see,
Hmm.
in any case, the regime was crumbling. I mean, I'm not sure whether it would have crumbled or not, it would have
Right.
fallen or not, but it was
Right.
crumbling to some extent.
Right.
The regime was, in any case, losing popularity, and regime was losing its legitimacy. I tell you
Hmm.
something.
Hmm.
There is a place in Tehran which is known as bazaar. So bazaar, like
Yeah.
what we have bazaar, because bazaar is
Hmm.
a Persian term.
Hmm.
So the bazaris, I mean, like you have Chani shop kind of thing, no? That some
Hmm.
old, small or medium businessmen,
Hmm.
these people are generally considered to be very religious and very, very conservative in nature. So, the protest first started in the bazaars. I tell you, this protest,
Hmm.
the recent protest, started bazaar, which is considered to be a stronghold of the regime. And
Hmm.
these bazaris are the same people that had actually funded the flight that brought Ayatollah al Khamenei to Iran from France in 1979. So
Hmm.
the protest began. So this is the paradox that
Hmm.
the bazaris had started the protest. So the
Hmm.
regime was, in any case, eventually facing a lot of heat from the
Hmm.
common people,
Hmm.
and there were people who believed that this regime has lost its
Hmm.
legitimacy to be in power. But
Hmm.
the killing of a leader, of a 86-year-old
Hmm.
man by a
Hmm.
foreign power and with impunity has actually made a martyr out of him. See, what has happened is
Hmm.
that, and that also in a month of Ramzan.
Right.
So it has made him a martyr, and most of the people who were against him vehemently now believe that the manner in which he was killed was
Hmm.
a complete violation of, gross violation of international law and international rule-based world order, because you cannot go and kill a leader, and especially someone who's not the president. I mean, of course, he had
Hmm.
all the powers, but this is just like, a personal enmity. In diplomacy and international relations, things don't work like that. Yeah, yeah, because today also I was talking to some people, so some scholars. So they had this point that if you start this trend,
Hmm.
so which world leader or which head of the state would feel safe? Because even like in the case of Russia and Ukraine or India and Pakistan, they have never targeted leaders of these countries. I mean, the armies have fought, but you
Hmm.
don't see uh, Pakistan targeting Prime Minister Modi or India targeting the Sharifs or vice
Right.
versa. I mean,
Right.
there are certain, say, decorum that have been followed
Needs
by
to be
countries world
maintained.
over.
Yeah. So
This is
it's
something.
either, yeah. So it's either say the revolt happened inside Iran and it would had gone out of control. So that would had been probably a good footing for US and Israel. which did not happen, which was contained, which started on 28th December and continued. And then the second point here is all like you are mentioning, the armies, they fight each other. But now, after taking down Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, uh, Iran has gone all out. They are targeting the Gulf region. They are not now they are not going via any protocol. They are touching Bahrain, they are touching UAE, they are touching Saudi. They have touched a lot of Gulf regions, like you mentioned, 9 to 12. So, how do you see that? I mean, what the retaliation, how do you perceive that?
See, when the negotiations were going on in Geneva and then in Oman, so Iran had uh, announced that this time every target would
Hmm,
be a legitimate target for them. They said
hmm,
that for far too long they had, I mean, this is not my version, this is what they
hmm,
had said.
hmm,
They had said that we will not hold any
hmm,
restraint anymore. And this time, all the countries that are friendly towards US and that are holding military bases of US will be the legitimate target. So that is why Iran this time thought that these countries should also face the burn, and it attacked so many military bases. And
hmm,
there are reports that many of these US installations have been badly damaged. This is what Iranians believe that. There is another thought process that is going on in Iran, I
hmm,
believe, that Iran believes that if these Gulf countries uh, if they are attacked, so what will happen is that first of all, many of the bases will be destroyed, and
hmm,
these states will have to think that whether holding a US base is profitable or it will bring some kind of problems in the country.
right.
Second point is that see, this is a month of Ramzan, which is a very pious month for Muslims of all countries, of all
Hmm, hmm,
the countries of the world, and Shia, Sunnis, for them, both of the sects, Ramzan is the holiest time. And
hmm,
Iran has realized, I mean, this is a mind game, that if these countries if these countries retaliate, I
hmm,
mean, if you have seen the last 4 days, these
hmm,
countries have been on the defensive mode. They have not
hmm,
attacked Iran because there are fears in these countries that if they attack Iran, so
hmm,
Iran may claim to be a victim of for fighting for Islam. So Iran may portray that see, we are the only Muslim countries, and these puppet regimes, so-called puppet regimes in the Gulf
hmm,
countries, are actually fighting for the Zionists. I mean, this is a narrative war also. So
yeah.
they want to show that see, there's US and there is Zionist
Hmm, hmm,
Israel, and these Muslim countries, the most GCC countries, they are actually puppets of these states, and they
hmm,
are fighting against a Muslim country. So,
hmm,
and this may actually cause some trouble within the within these countries. I mean, because if you look at these countries, most of them are
hmm.
monarchies.
Yeah,
So,
right.
the real thought process of the people doesn't get reflected. I mean, the real
Hmm,
beliefs of the people, or what they have feel from within. Like in a
hmm,
democracy, through a popular leadership, they represent the views of the people. You see,
hmm.
they are the legitimate leader. But here you have
Right,
monarchies. So
right.
I tell you that
Hmm,
in these Gulf countries, US is very unpopular in the streets. It
hmm,
is supported by the regimes, but
hmm,
streets are very much anti-US. So this would actually, raise this level of hatred towards the US and Israel. So that is what Iran is trying to do. So Iran
hmm,
also believes that this may also perhaps
hmm,
lead to some kind of massive protest, and can also have the danger of a regime change, not in Iran, but in other
hmm.
countries.
In other
That is why
countries.
you see most of
Hmm,
these Gulf countries have only been in the defensive mode, and they have very cautiously they
hmm,
have just come out with a statement that our sovereignty should not be violated and Iran
hmm,
should not do this. But none of them has till date said anything that would actually antagonize Iran, and they have not said that they will directly be involved in the war.
hmm, hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Understood. So here, as of now, US has not declared any war on Iran, yet there is a lot of crossfire which is going on. So,
because it has to go through the Congress. I mean, president cannot declare a war, so it has
mm,
to go. It has to be routed via Congress. So that is why Trump is afraid. I mean, because
mm,
the sanction of the Congress has
yeah.
not yet been taken.
Yeah, so as a unit, they have not come to this conclusion. But still, there is a lot of crossfiring which is happening. So, how do you see this? Will I mean, it has the potential of becoming next big war, which could be World War III, and then few countries coming together with US, and then a few countries, especially Russia and China, openly maybe parting sides with Iran. Do you see things like this which could happen in coming maybe few weeks, few months?
No, I think for both of your questions,
Hmm,
my simple answer is no. Why
hmm,
I'm telling you is
hmm,
that, see, I don't think that this will lead to world war, because see, world war, when both these world war had happened, so the
hmm,
context was entirely different. Most of the world was under the colonial rule of the European powers. So even at that time, it was basically a European war, which
hmm,
actually spilled over because
hmm.
the colonies had to be, like, supply mechanism of these
Yeah,
masters.
and
So
they were
that is
also
why they were involved.
captured at
Yeah,
that
so
point in time. Hmm,
they were actually serving their masters. So
yeah, yeah.
in a way, that was also not a world war, because most of the countries did not join by either force or by their will. They were made to join.
Hmm,
Okay,
hmm,
by default they had to
hmm,
join.
hmm,
So it will not be the case. Yes, of course, war will be there
hmm,
for some time, and it will
hmm,
also cause massive problems to the world.
hmm,
But
hmm,
simple answer, no, it will not be a war. Now, second point, you have said that do you see any possibility of two teams like ganging up,
hmm.
Iran, like
Like
certain countries coming?
Axis and
No, 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 no,
allies. Yeah.
no. Actually,
Hmm,
our minds work in a manner that we love to have some kind of generalization and stereotyping,
hmm,
and
hmm,
we love to have our confirmation biases. We used to,
hmm,
like, we had axis and allies, so now we want some parallel to it. No, I tell you, times have changed, and
hmm,
be it Russia or be it China. See,
hmm,
uh, in 2023, China had signed some 400 million or billion dollars the
hmm,
deal with Iran, guaranteeing its
hmm,
safety, and it was considered to be a game changer. And
hmm,
it is also a fact that China brokered peace between Saudi Arabia and Iran.
hmm,
Now, where is China? China is a very smart country. It will never get involved in someone else's war, because it wants to protect itself and it wants to preserve its resource, its
hmm,
military for
hmm.
its final war. Final war
Okay.
means for the annexation of Tibet, so for the annexation of Taiwan. So it will not
Right.
waste any of its soldiers, any of
Hmm,
its material. Whatever it
hmm,
is giving to Iran is its surplus. I mean, it is not reducing its own stock. So
hmm,
it serves two purposes. First of
hmm,
all, it actually helps Iran, which is an
hmm,
ally. Second point is that it actually tests their weapons. So you don't
hmm,
have to test it in your war. So you can give it to Iran. Iran can test it, and you will get the results. Like,
hmm,
they will use it, and you
hmm,
can understand what are the problems with this weapon, with this
hmm,
particular kind of technology, and then
hmm,
you can improve it, you can amend it, and make it better for your own use. So this is what China has been doing. Even Russia, for
hmm.
that matter. See, Russia is already involved in a war, so
No,
which has costed it with lot of manpower and with lot of
hmm,
resources. Russia
hmm,
would not like to come to the
hmm,
rescue of Iran. You see,
hmm,
and also another point is that Putin has said it many times that it is not going to that Russia is not going to attack Israel, because
hmm,
Russian president is surrounded by a lot of Jewish people, and
hmm,
who have their kith and kin in Israel, because you must have
hmm,
read the history. So Israel,
hmm.
most of the Jews had come from the Russian
Yeah,
side. So
yeah.
Russian is one of the largest spoken languages of
Hmm,
Israel. So Russia's case is a gone case, and
Mm,
China, as I told you, China will never get involved in any of the
mm,
war.
mm,
China is a very shrewd country. It knows that if it gets involved, then
mm,
it will be like inviting US wrath. See, US is one of its biggest trading partners, so it does not want to antagonize US in a manner that it becomes difficult for its own businesses.
mm,
So China also has a very, say, a
mm,
thin layer of legitimacy, because if a protest comes up very
mm,
strongly in
mm,
China, so it may also cause some difficulty for their Communist Party regime. So,
mm,
and apart from that, there is no other country which can dare to side
mm.
with Iran
Yeah.
explicitly. Implicitly, many
Mm,
countries would support, many countries
mm,
would provide weapons. But
mm,
coming for a country, I mean, this doesn't happen usually.
mm,
Israel is an exception, but most of the time you will see uh, you have to fight your own wars.
mm,
Other
mm.
countries may give you weapons, it may give you logistic help, it may give you military grade intelligence, but you have to put your own boots on the ground and your soldiers have to lay the life.
Right. So, Pavanji, just taking the last question, how do you see this entire situation as to what it is today on 5th of March, जब हम ये session कर रहे हैं, panning out, as in how long do you see this situation going on, and how long do you see this kind of not, I mean, warlike situation being present there, and if it ends, what do you think could be the terms of this ending? I mean, hypothetically, whatever you think.
See, this question, I think the most critical word is hypothetically,
Yeah, because
because with Trump as the president
mm,
of US,
mm,
everything becomes hypothetical. You do not know
mm,
what his stand would be the
mm,
other moment. So
mm,
I or anyone who
mm,
has looked into this matter
mm,
can guarantee. Even US generals have no idea when will this war end. So because this time what I see is that Iran also is not in the mood to go for a ceasefire very easily. At least, I mean,
mm,
this is at least what they have been saying publicly.
mm,
uh, Backdoor, what these countries have been doing, we have no idea,
mm,
and probably we'll get some idea if certain
mm,
ceasefire takes place. But as of now, I don't see a possibility of ceasefire coming anytime soon, because Iran is also in no mood to spare Israel, US, and their allies. And similarly, Israel has also put up a lot of efforts now, and it wants to completely obliterate the regime. And
mm,
but you see, when this war started, there is an interesting aspect to it. The first day, US claimed that they attacked because uh, of the nuclear program
yeah, yeah,
if- of Iran,
Iran, yeah,
which was not considered to be a very convincing argument, because in
mm,
2025 it was the president of US who said that they have attacked and they have
yeah,
destroyed the Iranian nuclear capacity.
mm,
Then the second day the narrative changes to regime change, that by attacking they have intention of regime change. But by the end of the day, they realize that even that is not going to happen anytime soon, because instead of like making regime weaker after the death of Khomeini, it has actually strengthened the regime.
mm,
Then this the third day now they have come up with this bizarre argument that it was a preemptive strike because Iran was going to attack US. I mean,
mm,
I at least don't understand that. Uh, is it really something like that, or I mean, I don't know.
mm,
But they have come out with different arguments on different days. So I don't know when will this war end. Maybe
mm.
after they end up with the production of new arguments, they will end up the war.
Okay. So thanks a lot, Pavanji, for all
Thank
your
you.
valuable insights. I'm sure the audiences would get a lot to understand from the entire history that you explained of Iran. And maybe we'll see how the warlike situation ends and how long it will go for. Any ending comments that you want to add here? Anything that you would want?
Uh, you see, wars are always a problem, not just
Mm,
for India, but for the entire world. And in this age of globalization, when everything is so interconnected,
mm,
wars in our backyard are a big trouble for us, especially because West Asia is very critical for India. The
mm,
region hosts more than 90 lakh Indians who
yes.
work there and who send almost say 38% of Indian remittances comes from the region, and which is a very critical aspect of our GDP. And many of the families, they directly depend on the income that most of the people earn from the Gulf countries. And I tell you, the safety and the peace of West Asia is in is in direct benefit for India. Many of the states' GDP is dependent directly on their remittances. So, as an Indian, I would like peace and diplomacy to prevail. I would like that this world comes to some sanity, and more or less there should be an ample space for the deliberations. And wars will only cause havoc to our economy and to the lives of millions of people who work there. We have seen videos coming out where many people are stranded in the Dubai airport. So I think it would be in the benefit of all if the war ends soon, because our petrol prices are now, a matter of concern, and and also our LNG prices. So if the war ends um, quickly, then people of India would be perhaps one of the happiest souls in this world. Thank you.
Yes.
This is what I have to say.
Thanks a lot, Pavanji. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.